Yeah, it takes a sec, right? Hey, good morning, afternoon, depending on where you're at. This is Sergeant McDonald with the Vancouver Army Medical Recruiting Station. Welcome to the Vancouver Recording Studio. Again, like I said, I'm Sergeant McDonald, and today I have a guest with me, Major Maggioni. She's a Army dietitian as well as a program manager for the Army Specialist Corps and the Dental Corps. So what I would like to do is introduce her, but before I do that, I want to let you know that there's a series of questions that I'm going to be asking her and just dialogue going back and forth, kind of the day in the life of an Army dietitian. So without further ado, I would like to show you a little video of who, Major Maggioni is, and then I'll introduce her. So without further ado, let's watch this video. All right, hope you enjoyed that video. Next up, I'm going to introduce Major Maggioni. But before I do, I want to let you know that if you have any viewers out there have any comments, questions for Major Maggioni during this interview, please put your comments or your questions in the comment box. And Major Maggioni, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Sergeant McDonald, and I'm happy to be here and share my Army story.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you're very busy today, so I wanted to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today and sharing your Army story, sharing what you do as an Army dietitian, and kind of the different roles that you've shared or the different roles that you've held as an Army dietitian throughout your Army career. So if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your Army story, take it away.
Yes, absolutely. So the Army has really been a part of my life. Growing up, my dad served in the Army, but to be honest, I never really considered serving myself until I was in college at the University of Georgia, and I knew I wanted to get my master's, and I was looking around for different master's and dietetic internship programs, and I just so happened to stumble across the Army Baylor Graduate Program Nutrition, or GPN. And I met with my Army recruiter. I did some research, and I really felt like it just combined the best of both worlds when it came to, what I wanted to do with my life, which is be a dietitian and also, be a part of something bigger than myself, be a part of a team. And the program is awesome because, it paid for my master's degree. But really, it just gave me the opportunity to travel, to move, and to have a lot of leadership experiences and do things that I know I would have never had the opportunity to do if I had just stayed in Georgia. So, it's been a great adventure, and I think it's kind of a common misconception that sometimes people think, you can't necessarily have a family or have that balance when you're serving in the military, but I'd say over the years, one thing that I've truly come to love about my career is really that balance I can have with my family and also serving my country.
Nice. Awesome, man. That's awesome. I really appreciate you sharing that with me today. I do have some questions for you that I would like to kind of begin with question number one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to read it to you. What educational opportunities does the Army offer dietitians?
Well, I think one thing that really makes Army medicine kind of the leading healthcare force for our service members across the world is just the emphasis that we place on education, training, and research. And there's a lot of education opportunities for dietitians. You know, you could do the program that I did where I came in through the Army Baylor Graduate Program in Nutrition. It's a two-phased degree producing program. The first phase is all the master's didactic coursework at the Army Medical Center of Excellence in San Antonio. And then the second phase is the dietetic internship at one of four military medical centers across the country. And that's a great way where you're getting that training and the education through the Army and paid for by the Army. But if you're already a dietitian and you're already that credentialed provider and you're interested in joining, there's opportunities to serve active duty or in the Army Reserves. And then while you're in, if you're interested in getting your PhD, every year we send Army dietitians to universities across the country to further their education and training, just to make sure that we're always on the cutting edge when it comes to Army medicine. We also have dietitians that work full-time doing research at USAREM, which is the U.S. Army Research Institute of Environmental Medicine. We offer training with industry opportunities for broadening assignments. And the Army highly incentivizes us to become specialized and get those extra credentials and board certifications. So it's a really great community and organization to be a part of, just the emphasis that we place on education and training.
Awesome, ma'am. So if I heard that, so you have two different ways that you can join the Army as a dietitian. One way would be the graduate program, the way that you join the Army as a dietitian. And then the other way is it's called direct commission. So if you're already a registered dietitian, you can come in the Army as the active duty Army or the Army Reserve as a registered dietitian. Correct?
Yes. Absolutely. You know, we have 15 slots every year in that graduate program nutrition, and in the future, you know, looking at possibly expanding that. But we also take in dietitians who already have their education and training that they've completed as civilian, but now want to serve their country and work with soldiers and their families. And so, you know, I know we offer a lot of incentives when it comes to joining, but there's a lot of great opportunities out there. And we are increasing the number of dietitians that we're bringing in because the Army is realizing that the impact that we as dietitians play for improving readiness of our soldiers.
Ma'am, which brings me to my next question. I think this is a perfect segue into it. I want you to kind of describe the holistic health and fitness, H2F, and kind of how that's affecting dietitians, like, I guess, daily duties and scope. So could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know, if we think about professional athletes, you know, every sports team, they have that whole team of providers who's assisting those athletes, whether it's physical therapists, athletic trainers, or even dietitians. And that's really where the Army is headed. So, you know, we like to consider our soldiers as soldier athletes. And holistic health and fitness, or H2F, it's a comprehensive fitness system that looks at how can we help our soldiers be physically, mentally, and spiritually fit when they're in a deployed environment or back here at home. And so the whole concept of holistic health and fitness really gets after improving readiness for our soldiers, decreasing injury, and improving the rehabilitation time too. And Army dietitians have played an integral part in H2F development and implementation across the Army. So it's a really exciting time to be an Army dietitian, just because nutrition is starting to be such a huge thing that Army medicine and the Army as a whole is recognizing that plays a key role in improving our soldiers' health and wellness.
Okay, awesome. So I've talked to a physical therapist that told me a little bit about this program, and she actually told me that the H2F program right now kind of enables, or in the future is going to be integrating the specialist course, so the physical therapist, the occupational therapist, the dietitian, and the PA in with more like frontline troops, no? Or
Yes,
like units that are actively, deploying, or rather than being in a clinical medical treatment facility.
Yes, absolutely. So, Army medicine right now, we're kind of going through this transition from really a healthcare system to a system for health. And really that's getting about being more proactive when it comes to maintaining and improving and restoring the health of our service members. And so, if traditionally more the dietitians are in the hospitals, in the clinics, and soldiers are coming to see us there. Now we're kind of flipping that, and we're going to be out there and embedded and working side by side with soldiers, making sure that they have access to these experts in their field, whether it's, like you said, occupational therapists, physical therapists, dietitians. So yeah, it's kind of the way of the future when it comes to Army medicine.
Okay, and the specialist corps is made up of who? Like what makes up the specialist corps?
Yeah, we have 4 jobs in the Army Medical Specialist Corps: occupational therapists, physical therapists, dietitians, and PAs, physician assistants. And for the PTs, OTs, and dietitians, all of those different jobs also have graduate level programs, similar to the dietetic internship I did and graduate program in nutrition. We have similar programs, the nationally ranked Army Baylor doctorate program in nutrition. And this year, we are actually starting a brand new doctorate occupational therapy program. So, we have opportunities for students to join and get their through the Army, or if you're already a provider in one of those specialties, you're already a PA, you're already an OT, a PT, or a dietitian, you can join our team, active duty or in the reserves.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that you touched on that because I was going to highlight the same thing about the different programs that each of those specialties have. So thank you for sharing that. I want to move into in a clinical setting. What's your daily schedule like? As far as are you doing treatments? Are you doing counseling, administrative work? Could you elaborate a little bit about your daily schedule as a dietitian?
Yes. One thing I love about being an Army dietitian is I get to work in all areas of nutrition. And so across the country, we have Army dietitians working in performance or sports nutrition, inpatient clinical nutrition, outpatient community-based nutrition, or public health nutrition. And so day to day in a typical clinical setting, your hours would be, typically your clinic's open from 7:30 to 4:30, and so you're seeing patients. And as an Army provider, our patient population is the active duty soldier, the active duty service member, and their dependents, so their spouse, their children. And we also see retirees in our military treatment facilities. So we're able to have that really large scope of practice as far as seeing a wide variety of different types of patients. But one thing that really makes Army dietitians unique is very early on in your career, you have the opportunity to serve in leadership positions. Very soon on, when I would compare myself to my civilian peers and counterparts, I was placed as chief of my clinic, chief of my section or department. And so you do have those extra management or leadership responsibilities when it comes to your job. Whether you're supervising other civilians or other military service members, making sure that as in charge of and the leader of your clinic, that you're also taking care of those administrative duties as well.
All right, that kind of went into ask you. Thank you for covering that. Just some of like the being in that management role. Is that more of a, I'd say like a administrative managing? So you're not really one-on-one with the client or the soldier, so to say, right?
Yeah, so when I'm talking about like your management role for your department, that may be counseling your actual employees that you have, addressing any issues, going to those hospital level meetings and advocating for things that your department needs, working on performance improvement projects. So yeah, I mean, anything that comes with managing staff, managing your budget, is kind of what's encompassed in those administrative tasks.
All right. So my next question is, could you go into what are some of the different job opportunities that the Army dietitian can possibly experience outside of the clinical area? I think you might have answered a few of them, but I want to see if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, another kind of neat opportunity that we have as being an Army dietitian, especially when you move up in rank, is there's a lot of other jobs that you can apply for or compete for, whether it's to be in command positions within various areas of Army medicine, or even, for example, right now, I'm working at Recruiting Command, helping to influence the future of the Army Medical Specialist Corps and Dental Corps. And so there's definitely a lot of options for you out there. If you want to stay in the dietitian lane your entire career, that's absolutely available for you. But if you're wanting to kind of look at some other areas of how you can develop as a leader and as an officer, that's kind of an exciting part of being an Army dietitian is, we have avenues for you to go down that way as well.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you, if you were to give advice, to somebody that may be kind of on the fence about, making a commitment to submit an application for a dietitian or the graduate program, what would that advice be to that specific person?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think the first step would be is, to reach out and try to talk to people, get with your local Army healthcare recruiter and ask them to connect you with someone in that field that you're interested in. Hey, I want to talk to an Army dietitian, or I want to talk to someone who's a graduate of this program that I'm interested in. Because really, the more people that you talk to, the better idea that you'll get of, the type of experiences that you're going to have. And of course, joining the military is a huge commitment, but you're really just joining a team and you're joining a family. And we have a strong set of values and leadership principles that, we all live by when we take that oath of office. And so for a lot of people, they're motivated by a number of things, whether it's the education opportunities, service to country, or a lot of the benefits that come for you and your family members. But if you're kind of hesitant, I would just say, reach out, talk to people, and try to make that really informed decision. And working with your healthcare recruiter is a great place to start for that.
So, man, when you joined, did you see yourself, traveling the world as much as you did? Like, I know travel is one of the motivators of why, somebody may want to join, but in your opinion, how has the travel been for you? And please include any like any deployments that you may have gone to, if you can just elaborate on your travel and deployments, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I will say, just to encompass travel, if you're serving active duty, a typical move cycle for you is every 3 years. And some people that I talk to, can be concerned with that. But I will say the military makes it really easy as far as helping you to coordinate all of your moves. And that's something that I actually like about the military. I don't want to stay stuck in one place for too long. And so I've enjoyed being able to change positions and change leaders that I work with to continue to grow and develop. But if you're interested in, staying where you are as far as for yourself or for your family, then the Army Reserves may be a great option for that. Because you can, drill someplace that is located near your home. You wouldn't necessarily have to move every 3 years or so. But with bringing up deployments, that's also something that I think is a misconception. That if you're in the Army as a healthcare provider, when you deploy, you'll be asked to do all these things that aren't necessarily within your scope of practice. And in a deployed setting, Army dietitians, we still function as those food and nutrition experts. It's just in a different setting, whether it's on a combat mission or for a humanitarian mission or disaster relief. And back in 2017, I had the opportunity to go on a humanitarian mission with the 14th Combat Support Hospital out of Fort Benning. And that was just one of the best experiences that I've had since joining the military. So to be able to go down and help out in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, we set up a hospital there, and I got to do every aspect of my job as a dietitian, whether it was patient care, food service management, or working with FEMA to help distribute water and humanitarian rations to the local areas that needed it most. So, just being able to get out of your comfort zone and, give back and have these new experiences, I think that's what I found most rewarding in my career.
Yeah, and actually on that deployment, as I was watching your video, I noticed that you probably made, basically friends for life, people that you've networked, with on your deployment or throughout your military career. You probably still stay in touch with a lot of them. So that's another thing that I find valuable to, serving in the Army. The friends and the people that you meet all over the world that have different backgrounds and different beliefs. It's awesome that, you can come together in the Army and basically be friends for life. So thank you for sharing the deployment. I wanted to, ask you, on all the duty stations you've been to, what would you say is your favorite?
Well, one of my favorites is actually up there where you are right now. So I was stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, and I worked at Madigan Army Medical Center, and I'd never been up to the Pacific Northwest before. But yeah, that's just such a beautiful part of the country. And so, once, you leave work and you can go out exploring, hiking, so much great stuff to do up there in Seattle and Portland and in the surrounding areas. And so it's kind of just like making the most of it wherever you're stationed. But I love being stationed there. I've also been stationed in Washington, D.C. when I was doing my dietetic internship at Walter Reed. And having the opportunity to live in our nation's capital was also incredible. And so, yeah, whether I've also been able to be stationed in Georgia, so close to home, close to my family and my husband's family. And so kind of having that balance of being able to be stationed all over the U.S. and hopefully I'm trying to get to Germany or some other assignment opportunities out there. But we have Army dietitians stationed in Italy. So yeah, a lot of really cool assignments. Whether you want to try to stay closer to home or kind of explore the world, there's a lot of options out there.
Awesome. So I want to ask you about assignments now, because I know I get a lot of questions like, hey, so I'm going to be given kind of like a wish list of, spots that I may want to go to, if somebody is, filling out an application. What would you say as far as assignments? Like it's going to be needs of the Army, correct? Like how much, influence can, I guess, like, so they're assigned like an assignment manager, right? Once they're selected for the program, they're given like an assignment manager that, how much do they take in consideration? Like if somebody wants to stay in this area, because a lot of the people that I talk to really want to get stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord at Madigan. So how likely is it that somebody has that as their number one, on their assignment preference? How likely would it be for that person to get JBLM? If you can answer that question.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, it is needs of the Army. But one great thing about, the medical corps is we do have that close relationship with our branch manager, and even the base that you mentioned. That's a large military medical center there. So we do have a number of Army dietitians that work there. And it's also a holistic health and fitness, area. So we have dietitians that are working in those positions as well. But yeah, when someone joins, they'll work with our human resource command. They'll be given a list of some different assignment options that they'll be able to rank. And, it's looking at not only where is it located, in the US or abroad, but, what may be the job that you're doing there. And, we really try to pair the strength of the person, the officer joining with kind of where they're going to be located. And so we're not going to put someone who's brand new to the Army, who has no military experience, in a position where they're going to be out there by themselves working. That's not going to set up anyone for success. We're going to try to set up a support system for that individual. So they'll be able to have some mentorship, leadership involved. And we also have a lot of mentorship programs within the Army Medical Specialist Corps. So for those people that are coming into the Army brand new, they truly feel like they're joining our team. And that's really what I value about serving in the Army, is just the leadership and mentorship I've been able to receive, over my time serving.
Awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. That's excellent information that I'm going to share with people that I talk to.
Yeah.
I want to kind of ask you about the Army Combat Fitness Test. Have you got an opportunity to at least do a diagnostic or take it yet?
Yes, I've had the opportunity to do the diagnostic, and I will tell you it's a big change from our past Army physical fitness test. But, it's been over 40 years since the Army has changed the fitness test. And so I love this new test. I think it's long overdue for a new way that we can assess our soldiers' health and fitness. So, one of the biggest differences of this test is, instead of a 3-event test, it's now a 6-event test, and it's age and gender neutral. So a lot of changes, and it really gets after someone's job and what's required of them as far as their physical fitness, into what category they'll fall in for testing. But yeah, it's a big change. It's being implemented officially this month, Army-wide. I know the coronavirus pandemic has kind of caused some hiccups with a lot of people being able to fully test for it, but I'm excited about it, and yeah, I think it's long overdue change for the Army.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity back in March to take this diagnostic, and I would probably say, comparing it to the Army Physical Fitness Test, the old test, this was more of a competition. It felt like a competition with my peers, and in reality, that made me kind of want to work harder to kind of beat them in some of the different events. I think the most challenging for me was the sprint drag carry. I'll tell you that kind of burnt out my legs for the 2-mile run at the end of it. So what do you think would be the most challenging event for you, if any?
Yeah, definitely for me, the most challenging is the leg back. And I think we're seeing that across the board when it comes to, especially females in the military, the statistics I've seen coming out. But I think anytime that you identify, what your weakness is, you can develop a for us out there, especially for female soldiers. And so, yeah, I mean, it's something new to train for, and like you said, it's definitely feels like it's more of a competition, or like a healthy competition.
Nice. So, speaking about females in the Army or females in the military, how has your experience been about being a female in the Army or the military in general?
Yeah, I've had a wonderful experience, and I feel so supported, or as I've started my family in the military. So I have two little children. I know we showed some pictures of them in my video that you kind of played at the beginning. But yeah, I mean, the Army offers 12 weeks paid maternity leave, which is awesome, and that actually doubled when I was pregnant with my first son. The Army's maternity leave policy. I have access to great childcare options for my children on the installation. And my husband is a civilian, so he's not in the military. And there's a lot of programs to support when we have to move, him having to get additional training or license for his job. The Army pays for that. And so we've been able to make it work. Being a mom, a wife, a mother, I think sometimes we wear a lot of hats, but I found it very supportive, the military supporting my family.
Awesome. So thank you, ma'am, for sharing that. I am kind of keeping track of the time at this point. What I would like to do is just kind of open it up to any questions that we may have from our viewers or listeners. So I'll kind of pause for a second as these questions come in, if there's any. So just stand by. And then as we're waiting for any of these to come in, I wanted to see if you had anything else that you would like to add. Maybe somebody that's listening that may want to give us a call and start their application, because like you said, there are specific slots available each year that we're hiring for. So those are very competitive slots. So what would you say, for somebody to be competitive, what would you say would make them competitive for an opening, for a slot?
Yes, so it is a competitive application process, but we are really looking at applicants as a whole person concept. So it's not only just what were your grades, or let's see your transcripts. We look at letters of recommendation, we look at people's work experience, or we look at people's volunteer experience.
Okay.
What do they do in the community to give back? And so we're not only looking at one particular area when it comes to joining our graduate programs or joining as an officer. Because when you serve, when you wear this uniform, you're not only a dietitian, you're an officer in the United States Army. And so we're looking for people that share those Army values and have demonstrated that in their life through their involvement maybe in volunteer service and in their community as well. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like what you said earlier, the best thing about being in the Army is just the people. And, we always place people first, and those relationships that you build and those friendships that you build over time. That's really what, makes wearing this uniform so special.
Nice. And I think we have a question here from, looks like Mackenzie Hall. Hey, Mackenzie, thanks so much for joining us today. So your question is, can you share more details about the specific roles you have had as a registered dietitian? So, ma'am, I know you kind of talked about it a little bit in the beginning. Mackenzie may have missed it, but I wanted to see if you wanted to add a little bit to answer Mackenzie's question.
Yes, absolutely. Great question, Mackenzie. So, when I first started as a dietitian, after I finished the graduate program and internship, I just worked as a clinical dietitian, seeing patients in a big military medical center. And then after a while, after like a year or two, I got promoted. And so I was then put as chief of our clinic there. So I still was doing patient care, whether that would be inpatients or outpatients, teaching classes, going out to units and giving presentations. But at that point, I also was supervising civilian and military staff. And so really drawing upon some of those leadership skills and leadership training that I did there. So working as chief of the clinic in my hospital. And then after that, I was selected to serve as a recruiter for Army Medicine. So this is something that I wanted to do, just kind of branch out, do something different. And I'm very passionate about the military and sharing a lot of the scholarships and programs that we offer for Army Medicine. So I did healthcare recruiting for a couple years out of Atlanta. And it's kind of funny because some of the providers that I've recruited, doctors, nurses, or occupational therapists that have come in the Army now, when I went back to working at an Army hospital again, I was actually serving and working with some of those people. So it's kind of cool to kind of see that process come full circle. But after that, then I went to work at Eisenhower Army Medical Center. So that's another big Army Medical Center in Augusta, Georgia. And there I was deputy chief of my department. So I know I oversaw all food service operations for the hospital, as well as the clinical operations as well. And so, kind of as you move up in rank, you're also going to be moving up within those positions in the nutrition department. And I was there for a couple of years. That's also when I had the opportunity to go on my humanitarian mission that I kind of talked about earlier. And now I'm here at recruiting headquarters in Fort Knox, Kentucky, as the program manager for Army Dental Corps recruiting and Army Medical Specialist Corps recruiting. And so at this level, I'm able to draw on my experience as a healthcare recruiter, as well as a provider in the military, to kind of shape the future of what we're trying to bring in and the type of applicants that we're trying to have join our team here with Army Medicine.
Awesome. So, Mackenzie, I hope that Major Maggioni answered your questions. I want to see if there's any other questions. I'll pause for another 5 seconds or so. All right. So, ma'am, at this time, there are no other questions, but I'm sure that I'm going to be, asked a lot of questions after this video. So at this point, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today. And I hope that, and I definitely got a lot out of this interview today. And again, thank you so much for your time. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too, Sergeant McDonald. Thank you so much.
Thanks, ma'am. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.